Whenever I get to this stage in a Windsor chair build, I get a ton of comments from folks online saying,
"Why would you ever want to paint that thing? It's so beautiful in its natural state. Why wouldn't you just oil it or stain it?"
Oiling or staining these chairs in the state that they currently are in would look super tacky for the simple fact that these are made out of 3 different kinds of wood. Windsor chairs were traditionally painted black with the same kind of milk paint that we use today to paint chairs, but some really smart person sometime realized that if you painted black over red or another color, that bottom color would start to show through as certain areas of the chair started to wear away over time. Now we paint our first couple coats of red and then we cover it with black, which then ultimately gives it a really, really cool, rich, almost natural wood-like finish. So that's one of the ways we get around using 3 different species of wood and still having a super beautiful, classic looking chair at the end of all of this. We do not need to be super careful with this first coat of paint because this first coat does 2 things for us. It gives us coverage, a base layer of color, but it also does something very integral to the finishing process, and that is raising the grain. Because milk paint is activated with water, when we put the water on the surface of the chair, it's going to raise up all of the loose fibers, which is actually going to help us to identify problem areas that need to get a little bit more time and attention paid to them before we do our final coats. The first thing that we want to do after this first coat of red paint is dry is knock down all of the high spots with a sanding pad. So these are made by Mirka. I also use 3M pads, and we can use these to rub down the whole chair. It makes a really yucky sound that I really don't like, but it's going to knock down all those high spots. Then we want to run our hands over the chair, especially places where we're actually going to touch on a regular basis. And if those feel rough, or if you catch on any slivers or raised grain, this is the time that we take care of them. We grab a piece of 250 grit sandpaper and we rub down those surfaces. During this process, we might actually expose some bare grain, and that's totally okay because that's why we're going to do multiple coats. As we're rubbing this thing down with abrasive pads, we also want to be looking for pinholes or areas that need to get a little bit of gap filler. We'll do that with putty. So you can see right here, there was a little spot where the wedge didn't quite hit. We'll fill that in with putty. Not a lot, just a little bit. Back here, there's another little spot. We can do the same thing. And after we've got every single surface rubbed down, then we just need to blow off the dust and get ready for our second coat. We've got some more red real milk paint mixed up, just giving it a little shake before we get started. Well, now that just got everywhere. On this second coat of paint, we are again not going to be super precious or careful about anything. We want to make sure that we get coverage on those lighter spots that we revealed during our last abrasion session, but we don't want to waste a ton of time doing this because chair making already takes a ton of time. We don't want to spend extra time doing things unnecessarily and make it take even longer. When applying real milk paint by hand, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour per coat times 5 coats per chair, and I've got 8 chairs here that need painting. If you've watched a few of my woodworking videos, you've probably seen me do a few projects with my friend Greg Pennington. What you may not know is that Greg was a mechanic before he was a woodworker. A couple weeks ago, I found out that if I could come to Greg's after work and on weekends for a little while, help him finish all of the chairs that he currently had on order, then we could have some solid time working together on my 1953 Chevy pickup truck restoration project. And that's exactly what I'm doing here now. I'm gathering up some stuff here at the farm so that I can go back over to Greg's house and do some more chair painting, but this time we're gonna try a little shortcut. Greg was a little hesitant at first because this is not how it's traditionally done, and there are a lot of reasons why it won't work, but I've convinced him to let me use his water-based spray gun to try painting a few of the coats on these chairs. Let's see how it works. Filtered the paint with a filter. Let's do this.
Here we go. Already clogged.
Oh
Okay, well, I'm sure it's already clogged up.
no! No!
Over
have a problem. This is round 2. First of all, we refiltered the paint. We took out the filter in the gun, and just a side note, this is non-toxic. It's a milk-based product, so we're not worried about breathing the fumes. Okay, let's try this. Okay, even though that's non-toxic, I'm gonna step outside for just a hot second. First of all, we haven't decided if it's gonna work for the final finish, but there are 4 coats of paint that we have to do before that final finish. Greg, what do we think? We just did something that takes 45 minutes in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, you know, red boogers didn't ever kill anybody, but as long as it's just paint.
As long as it's just paint. All right, we're gonna put the next coat on. This first coat raises the grain, so we actually need to let that dry. And while we let it dry, we're gonna run to a nondescript, cheaper tool purchasing place to buy a gun with a smaller cup so that we can get into all the detailed parts. We're going to go buy more supplies. We're in Uncle Kenny's truck, right? This truck has been in your family since...
They bought it new in '79.
Chevy Silverado. This is a pretty cool truck. I think we found a $15 solution for our problem. We'll see. Woo! Real milk paint comes as a powder that you mix with water, and that allows you to get the thickness and consistency of paint that you want in the perfect amount for every project. That means you're always using fresh paint and you never have leftover paint just laying around. Let's just focus on the fact that Greg and I both love pickles. This is delightful.
Yes.
What's the mixture?
2 to 1. 2 parts water to 1 part paint.
Do you use hot water?
Hot as I can get it. And then I'll add almost 6 of these.
Oh, and there's the anti-foaming agent?
Yep.
Oh no.
We need a lid.
But the good news is, this is all food safe, so no problem with the fact that this just got everywhere.
Yep.
Shake up the martini.
A Bloody Mary.
Greg, tell me what you just told me about the paint and how you let it sit.
Well, I let it sit a minimum of 15-20 minutes just to let it break down and froth up a bit. It should spray better.
New gun, new filters, new paint. We're ready to go. Try using milk paint as a finish on one of your projects and check out the Real Milk Paint Company. They're my neighbors here in Tennessee and have been huge supporters of my channel and getting me into the woodshop even during this busy season. Use the code AnnofAllTrades10 at checkout for a 10% discount. Decided coming outside would be better. Better life choice ultimately. So this one has an extreme amount of red showing through because this is a bit more of an experimental chair anyway. This one has a very cool seat underneath. Too bad you let Brian steal my piece of sassafras that I started. Oh my gosh. Woo! Oh, you're good. Woo! All right. And now for the fun part. To bring out and accentuate all of the colors in the project and to actually seal and protect your chair, the last step is to burnish in some oil. Get the recipe for my favorite oil in my homemade wood finishes video. Well, we've got some oil on it. Take it in the shop and take a look. Spraying finish is absolutely a win in this case. This turned out amazing. So you can see here, the black over red finish looks amazing. You can see some of the warm red tones coming through the black paint there. And then that's really accentuating the curly sassafras seat. This is such a cool look. And oh my gosh, that's so much easier. Let's go get my truck.
Let's do